3. 16 was short on workers. Too many local men. 3. 19 were overseas in uniform and harvests. 3. 2 could not wait for peace. So PWS were 3. 26 sometimes assigned to help in fields. 3. 28 orchards, dairies, and canneries. Under 3. 2 supervision. The prisoners had expected 3. 5 harsh treatment, endless suspicion, and 9 perhaps humiliation from civilians who 41 had every reason to hate them. Instead 5 they were handed gloves. 7 Earl Whitaker led them toward the barn. 50 and began explaining the day's work. 2 through the interpreter. 5 4 seed sacks here, repair work there. 5 7 fence section near the creek, a belt. 0 problem on one of the tractors. None of 2 it was theatrical. None of it was cruel. 6 it was just work, American work, fast. 10 practical, unsentimental. 4 Hans kept staring at the machines. 7 back home, before conscription, he had 0 repaired equipment for small farms, where 23 one breakdown could ruin a season. 6 families patched tools until the metal. 9 looked more weld than steel. Here, a 3 tractor with worn rear treads sat beside 6 another tractor, and neither looked 9 ancient. Even the barn had equipment. 1 stacked inside that would have made a 4 village mechanic pause in silence. Extra 7 parts, oil drums, plows, seed drills. 5 1 spare chains, proper tools hanging in 4 rows. Otto muttered, "This is not a 8 farm. It is a workshop disguised as a 502 farm." The corporal translated that to 507. Earl laughed, not mockingly, but with 10, the ease of a man hearing the obvious. 3 wait till they see the Johnson place. 7 Hans thought the interpreter had made a 8 mistake. But by noon, after hours of 2 lifting and repairing under a broad sky, 4 that seemed too large to belong to a 6 single country, he began to understand 9 that the tractors were not the real 2 shock. The real shock was scale. O was 6 when they broke for lunch. The prisoners 38 sat under the shade of a cottonwood tree. 40 near the lane. Earl's wife had prepared 3 sandwiches, apples, and metal jugs of 5 cold water. No one pretended they were 8 guests. No one pretended they were free. 51 men, but they were fed properly, spoken 54 to directly, and treated with a 6 practical decency that confused them. 9 more than anger would have. 2 Hans chewed in silence, looking over the 5 road. Then he noticed something strange. 9 every few minutes, another truck or 2 tractor passed. One pulled a hay wagon. 6 another carried feed. One had a 9 mechanical picker behind it. Another was 2 towing equipment he had never seen 3 before. 5 dust rose in the afternoon light like 8 smoke. 29 how many farms are on this road? He 2 asked. The interpreter shaded his eyes. 35 and glanced around. This road? Maybe 398 close by. More if you count the 411s past the creek. Hans lowered his 4 sandwich. And they all have machines. 48. The corporal gave him a look that said 50. The question itself was unusual. 5 4 mostly 5 Hans stared down the road again. Mostly 700. That afternoon, Earl needed a part from 703 town, so he loaded 2 PWs, the 706 corporal, and a crate of 710. Hans was chosen because he understood 712 machines. Otto went because he could 715 lift almost anything, and because Earl 719 had decided he was trustworthy. They 2-2 drove out along a gravel road that cut 7-2-4 between cornfields past one farm, then 7-2-7 another, then another. Each had its own 7-3-0 barn. Each had trucks, tractors, 7-3 combines or attachments parked beside 7-3 sheds or under open lientos. Water 7-8 towers, silos, windbreak trees, fences 7-4 stretching into the distance, cattle 7-4 moving like dark punctuation marks, 7-4 against the fields. Then they reached a 7-5 rise in the land. Earl slowed the truck 7-52 and pointed with one finger across the 7-5 valley. There, he said. The corporal 7-5 translated. Hans looked out and for a 8-02 moment forgot to breathe. The county 8-04 opened beneath them in every direction. 8-07 farms spread like a giant patchwork. 8-09 quilt, stitched in green, brown, and 8-12 gold. Roads crossed at right angles. 8-15 barn roofs flashed red in the sunlight. 8-19 grain elevators rose near the rail line. 8-21 inches the distance. Tractors moved in 8-4 different fields at once, tiny and busy. 8-27 as beetles. Smoke curled from a machine. 8-31 shed somewhere far off. A combine traced 8-34 a slow path through wheat. Another rode 8-38 carried 3 trucks, one behind the 8-40 other. It was not one rich farmer. It 8-44 was everyone, or at least far more 8-47 people than Hans had imagined possible. 8-50. Otto leaned forward in the seat. This is 8-53, one county, the corporal nodded. 8-57, one county. 8-5-9. Hans said nothing. He had seen conquered 9-03 cities, bombed rail yards, military 9-06 depots and factories. He had seen 9-08 columns of armor and endless ammunition, 9-11 crates, but there was something quietly 9-15 overwhelming about this. Not the 9-17 machinery alone, not even the land. It 9-21 was the realization that this abundance 9-23 was ordinary here, repeated, organized, 9-28, boring even to the people who lived 9-30 inside it. A county full of tractors, a 9-33 county full of barns, a county where 9-36 farmer owning 3 machines wasn't even 9-38 worthy of comment. No speech was made. 9-42. No one tried to humiliate the prisoners. 9-44 with it. Earl just drove on as if 9-47. Nothing extraordinary had been shown. 9-50. That made it hit harder. In town, the 9-5 machine store had shelves of belts. 9-55 fittings, spark plugs, and bearings. The 9-59 hardware store next door smelled of 10-01 wood, rope, and iron. Across the street, 1005 stood a feed supplier, a bank, and a 1008 diner with a sign promising pie. A grain 1011 elevator towered near the tracks, and 1013 boxcars waited in the sun. Otto said 1017 under his breath. This town exists 1020 because of the farms. 1023. Hans answered just as quietly, 1027. And the farms exist because of the 1030 machines. 1032. And the machines exist because he did. 1035. Not finished because there was a whole 1038 system beneath it. Fuel, steel, roads. 10-4. 3 railroads, spare parts, mechanics. 10-4. 6 banks, labor, weather reports. 10-4. 9 telephones, dealers, factories. Not a 10-5-2 miracle, but a network. A country built 10. 56 to move things, grow things, repair 10. 5. 9 things, replace things. 11. 2. For the first time since his capture, 11. 0 Hans felt a different kind of defeat. 11. 7. Not the defeat of a soldier whose front 1-1. 10 has collapsed. The defeat of a man 11. 1-3 realizing the opponent had been playing 1-1. 15. A much larger game all along. 11. 1-8. Back at the farm, the days settled into 1-1. 2-0 rhythm work at sunrise. Repairing. 11. 2-4. Lifting, patching, stacking, hauling. 11. 2. 7. Earl's wife sometimes sent out biscuits. 1-1. 30 inches. A cloth-lined basket. Earl Jr. asked 1-1-3-4 endless questions about engines, always 1-1-3-7, wanting to know why one machine knocked 1-1-39 and another hummed. Otto, who had 11-4-3 started the week, suspicious of every 1-1-4-5 American smile, began showing the boy 11-48 how to clean plugs properly and check 11-5-1 belt for hidden weakness. No one became 1-1-5-4 sentimental. 11-55. No one forgot the war. The guard 1-1-5-8 remained nearby. The prisoners returned 1-2-1 to camp each evening. The fence there 1-2-0-4 still stood, and so did the watchtowers. 12-8. But the farm changed something in them. 12-11. One evening, after a long day bringing 1-2-13 inches, he was not a man who spoke 1-2-1-5 dramatically. 12-1-7. That was why they listened. 12-20. It is not just that they have more, he 12-2-2 said. It is that everything connects. 12-26. The road leads to the town. The town 1-2-2-8 leads to the rail. The rail leads to 12-3-1 factories. The factories send parts back 1-2-34 to the farms. The farms feed the towns 1-2-37 and the army. The army protects the 12-40 roads and rails. Nothing stands alone. 12-45. No one interrupted. Hans looked down at 12-48, his hands. 12-50. On that farm, I saw 3 tractors in 12-5. 3 thought the farmer must be 12-5. Extraordinary. 12-5-6. Then I saw the county. The farmer was 12-5-9. Ordinary. 13-0-1. That is what frightened me. Otto, lying 1-3-4 on the bunk above, stared at the ceiling, 1-3-7, and murmured, yes. 13-10 months later, after more work details, 1-3-12 and more seasons turning, Hans would 1-3-1-5, remember that hill above the valley, more 1-3-1-7 clearly than many battlefields. Not 13-20 because it was dramatic, but because at 13-22 was honest. It showed him something no 13-2-5 propaganda ever had. The strength of 13-2-8 America was not only in its weapons. It 13-31 was in its routine. In counties where 1-3-3-4 abundance looked normal. In boys who 13-3-7 thought owning a tractor before they 1-3-3-9 could shave was natural. In farmers who 13-4-2 complained about fuel prices while 1-3-4-4 standing beside machines that would have 1-3-4-7 stunned half of Europe. In a system so 13-5-1 wide that one man could own 3-1-3-5-3 tractors and still be just another 1-3-5-6 neighbor on the road. For Hans, that was 14-0 the day the war changed shape in his 14-0-3 mind. It was no longer only about 1-4-0-6 armies, flags, or speeches. 14-9. It was about capacity, and standing on 14-1-2 that rise, looking over an entire county 1-4-1-5 that seemed to run on engines, grain, 14-17 in distance, he understood something 1-4-2-0 that stayed with him for the rest of his 14-2-2 life. 14-23. A nation this organized would be almost 1-4-2-6, impossible to starve, impossible to 14-2-9 frightened for long, and very difficult to 14-3-2 outlast. 14-34. And all because one quiet American 1-4-3-6 farmer had owned 3 tractors. And in 14-40 that county that was nothing special at. Bạn là chuyên gia viết content audio, quân sự, chính trị, xã hội. Hãy chia bài viết này thành 3 phần. Nhiệm vụ: viết lại số 3 phần đã chia trong nội dung gốc ở trên, sao cho giữ 81% nội dung gốc, bao gồm tất cả số liệu, thời gian, tên người, sự kiện, vị trí trình từ các sự kiện, ví dụ, minh chứng phong cách kể chuyện, nhấn nha, tạo cao trào, câu chữ mạnh, dễ gây cảm xúc khi nghe, nhịp điệu, giữ các câu ngắn, dài xen kẽ, tạo nhịp đọc, tránh liệt kê khô khan, sử dụng các câu mở rộng khi miêu tả sự kiện, thêm, nhưng thực tế là, thật sự mà nói, điều đáng chú ý là để câu chuyện hấp dẫn hơn. Tất cả đơn vị đo lường phải viết bằng chữ tiếng Anh, ví dụ, phần trăm thành percent, kilometer, percent. phù hợp cho AI đọc, số thập phân, ghi theo quy tắc 91.7 hoặc 91.70, 91.7. Độ dài phần viết lại phải bằng phần gốc số ký tự PH gốc ký tự. Giữ ý gốc sát hơn. Độ dài mỗi part bám gần phần gốc hơn, không khéo lan man, không tự ý bổ sung lập luận mới, không mở rộng phân tích ngoài nội dung gốc, xuất ra văn bản thuần, không đánh số, không gạch đầu dòng. The first time the German prisoners saw the farm, they thought it had to belong to a rich man. Not rich in the way they imagined officers or factory owners back home, but rich in that strange, almost unbelievable American way. There was a plain wooden house, a red barn, a windmill, a water tower, and 3 tractors parked out in the open like they were nothing special at all. No guards stood around them, no chains locked them in place. They were simply there, lined up beside a field so wide it seemed to swallow the horizon. Hans stopped walking. Before the war, he had been a mechanic, a serious man from near Kassel, the kind of man who could tell the age of an engine by its sound and the worth of a machine by the wear on its gears. On the long train ride across the United States, he had already seen more farmland than he thought existed in the world. But stepping down now from the flatbed truck with the other PW laborers, he stared at those machines as if he had been carried into another century. 3 tractors for 1 farmer. He looked at the American guard, then at the farmer, then back at the tractors again. There must be several families working here, Hans said quietly in German. Otto, standing beside him, let out a dry laugh. Or 1 king. The farmer heard the tone, even if he did not understand the words. He was a broad-shouldered man in faded overalls with a sunburned neck and a straw hat pushed back on his head. His name was Earl Whitaker, and he looked less like a king than a man who had been awake since before dawn. He hooked a thumb toward the tractors. Those 2 are mine. 1's my brother's. He parked it here. The interpreter, a young American corporal who spoke rough but understandable German, translated the words. Hans frowned. 2? He repeated. The farmer nodded. That little gray one's for lighter rows. The big one pulls the heavier equipment. The other's Earl Jr.'s. Hans turned toward the house, expecting maybe a son of 30, a married man, a second generation running half the property. But then a boy of about 14 came around the barn carrying a wrench. Otto blinked. That is Earl Jr.? The farmer grinned. Sure is. The prisoners exchanged looks. Even before the war, many of them had spent their lives measuring labor in backs, hands, and horses. 1 tractor was impressive. 2 suggested a cooperative. 3 on 1 property looked absurd, wasteful, impossible, almost offensive. But really, that was only the beginning of their disbelief. They had been sent from a nearby camp as part of a farm labor program. America was short on workers. Too many local men were overseas in uniform, and harvests could not wait for peace. So PWs were sometimes assigned to help in fields, orchards, dairies, and canneries under supervision. The prisoners had expected harsh treatment, endless suspicion, maybe even humiliation from civilians who had every reason to hate them. Instead, they were handed gloves. Earl Whitaker led them toward the barn and began explaining the day's work through the interpreter. Seed sack.